Imagine, if you will, a man standing at the shore, gazing out into the horizon. He has a destination in mind, a faraway island of success, wealth, happiness. He dreams of it day and night. But here's the question: without a compass, without a map, and without a vessel, will he ever reach it? You see, most people live their lives this way. They have a goal, yes, but no system to get there. And like a ship without a rudder, they drift. They drift aimlessly, hoping that sheer desire will carry them to the promised land. But hope is not a method. Desire without direction is frustration in disguise. A goal, my friends, is nothing more than a wish unless it is built upon a foundation of daily, deliberate action. We have been told time and time again to set goals, to write them down, to dream big. And that's good advice as far as it goes. But too many people confuse the dream with the plan, the vision with the vehicle. You cannot build a skyscraper on air. You need a blueprint. The great secret, the missing ingredient, is not in wanting something, but in constructing a system that makes its achievement inevitable. You see, goals point the way, but systems pave the road. Every successful person you can think of, every titan of business, every artist, every inventor didn't simply dream. They designed. They built habits, rituals, and routines that carried them steadily toward their vision. The farmer does not merely hope for a harvest. He tills the soil, plants the seed, waters the earth, and trusts in the process. He does not measure success by one day's sunshine or one evening's rain, but by his steadfast faith in the system. Let us be honest with ourselves. Most goals fail not because they are unworthy, but because they are unsupported. A man says, "I want to be wealthy," but he saves nothing. Another says, "I want to be healthy," but he neglects his body. And yet another declares, "I want to be wise," but he does not read, study, or reflect. In each case, the goal is noble, but the absence of a system renders it powerless. A dream without a discipline is a candle without a flame. So then, what is a system? It is the structure that transforms vision into reality. It is the quiet machinery of progress that turns one small action into a habit, one habit into a result, and one result into a destiny. Systems are the unseen hands that guide your ship through storms and calm waters alike. When motivation fades, systems remain. When enthusiasm wanes, discipline endures. The man who builds a system does not rely on fleeting passion. He relies on consistency, and consistency, my friends, is the mark of greatness. If you would truly change your life, don't ask yourself merely, "What do I want?" Ask instead, "What system will carry me there?" For it is not the dreamer who reaches the island. It is the builder. Design your system, live it daily, and soon you will find yourself standing upon that distant shore, not by chance, not by luck, but by the steady hand of purpose, guided by a proven path. There is a certain kind of tragedy in the way many people move through life. Not a tragedy of effort, but of aimlessness. They wake each day with energy, they work, they strive, they even dream, yet somehow they never seem to arrive. They are like travelers walking with determination, but without a compass. They say they want to reach the mountaintop, yet take no notice of the winding road before them. And when night falls and progress is nowhere to be seen, they sigh, they blame fate, and they wonder why their hard work has not borne fruit. The truth is simple. No matter how powerful the dream, how noble the goal, if one does not possess a system, the destination will forever remain a mirage on the horizon. A goal by itself is like a star shining in the night sky. It inspires, it glimmers, it captures your attention, but it does not guide your steps unless you know how to follow it. Too often, people confuse wishing with working, wanting with walking. They write down what they desire, repeat affirmations, speak of success, and call it faith. Yet faith without direction is blindness. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve lies not in desire, but in design. One man says, "I will be successful," and waits for fortune to visit him. Another says, "I will be successful," and constructs a method to make it so. The first man will grow weary and bitter. The second will quietly, steadily, inch his way toward fulfillment. Consider for a moment the journey of a seed. It contains within it the full potential of a mighty tree. Strength, beauty, shelter, life itself. But if it is cast upon dry rock, if it is never watered, never exposed to sunlight, its greatness remains locked within. The seed has a goal, to grow, to flourish, but no system to nourish it, so it remains dormant. Humanity is much the same. Every person holds within them a vision, a spark of possibility. But vision without a system is a seed upon stone. It needs the soil of discipline, the water of daily effort, and the light of understanding to grow into reality. We live in an age obsessed with results. Instant success, overnight transformation, the shortcut to greatness. People set goals the way children chase butterflies, with enthusiasm, but without direction. They see someone who has reached the summit and believe the secret lies in dreaming bigger, when in truth, it lies in walking wiser. To have a goal is noble, but to design a system is divine. For the goal tells you where you wish to go, while the system tells you how you will get there. Step by step, day by day, quietly, persistently, unshaken by temporary setbacks or fleeting excitement. You see, without a system, a goal becomes a source of frustration. It looms in the distance, taunting you with how far you still have to go. You begin with excitement, but soon the path feels uncertain, the progress invisible, and slowly, motivation fades. But with a system, every action carries meaning. Each small step becomes a victory. You no longer chase the finish line, you follow the rhythm of growth. A musician does not play for the applause. He plays because the music itself sustains him. So it is with life. The person who builds a system finds joy not merely in achievement, but in the process itself. Ask yourself, how many times have you set a resolution, declared a bold ambition, only to see it dissolve into memory within weeks? The problem is not weakness of will, but weakness of structure. You cannot rely on emotion to sustain effort. Emotion rises and falls like the tide. A system, however, remains steady, a lighthouse in storm and calm alike. It does not ask how you feel today. It reminds you what to do today. It transforms fleeting passion into enduring practice, and enduring practice into lasting change. Those who build systems become masters of their destiny, because they have built pathways that carry them forward even on the days when motivation sleeps. The mountain climber who takes one sure step each day, guided by a map, will reach the summit long before the dreamer who stands at the base imagining the view. Greatness, then, is not an act of chance, but of construction. It is the art of designing your own inevitability. And once you understand that truth, you no longer wait for success, you build it. There comes a point in every person's life when they pause to ask, why do my dreams seem so distant? They set goals, they declare intentions, they speak of what they want with passion and sincerity. Yet the results rarely match the vision. They work hard, they make lists, they repeat affirmations, but soon the fire dims and the enthusiasm wanes. The reason lies not in a lack of ambition, nor in the cruelty of fate, but in a simple misunderstanding that goals alone are sufficient. Goals are like signposts on a long road. They point the way, but they do not move you forward. Without a system to guide each step, the traveler remains in place, staring at the destination from afar. You see, the mind loves the excitement of a new goal. It thrills at the thought of transformation, the idea of a better self, a brighter tomorrow. But after the rush fades, reality appears. The days feel long, progress feels slow, and the distance seems endless. The goal remains a shining vision, but the path becomes unclear. People begin to believe that perhaps they were not meant for success, that perhaps destiny favors others. Yet destiny, my friends, is not written by the stars. It is written by the systems we design. A goal tells you what you desire, but a system tells you what to do. The one inspires, the other instructs. Inspiration without instruction leads only to frustration. There is a common mistake people make when setting out to achieve something great. They focus entirely on the outcome, the reward, the applause, the recognition. They measure their worth by how close they stand to the finish line, rather than how faithfully they walk the path. But life does not reward the impatient dreamer, it rewards the consistent doer. It is not enough to say, I will build wealth, or I will become healthy, or I will find peace. The question is not what you wish to have, but what you are willing to practice each day. The world belongs to those who turn lofty ambitions into daily rituals, those who trade the fantasy of sudden success for the discipline of steady progress. The truth is that goals are fragile things. They depend too much on emotion. One day you feel inspired, unstoppable, determined. The next you feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. If you rely on motivation, your progress will rise and fall with your mood. But a system, a well-built, deliberate structure, asks nothing of emotion. It runs on consistency, not excitement. It transforms effort into habit and habit into destiny. It is the quiet rhythm of repetition, the steady drumbeat of purpose, that carries a person across the valleys of doubt and over the hills of difficulty. Think of the craftsman who wishes to master his trade. He does not speak daily of mastery. He shows up to his bench each morning, tools in hand, working with patience and care. Each movement may seem small, each day may seem ordinary, but time reveals the truth. Excellence is built from countless simple acts performed with intention. The same principle governs all achievement. To reach your goal, you must stop living in the distant vision and start building in the present moment. The future belongs to those who know how to turn each day into a brick laid upon the last. When a person fails to progress toward a goal, they often believe something is wrong with their willpower. They say, "I lack discipline," or "I'm not strong enough." But more often, the problem lies not in the person but in the design. You cannot build a cathedral without a blueprint. You cannot grow a garden without a plan. And you cannot reach your goal without a system. Effort without structure is like water poured upon sand. It seeps away, leaving nothing behind. But effort guided by system is like water channeled through a riverbed. It gains direction, momentum, and power. So when you set a goal, do not ask only, "What do I want?" Ask, "What daily actions will bring me closer to it?" Break the mountain into stones and move one each day. Let the system become your guide, your guardrail, your map. In time, you will find that success was never a distant island after all. It was the shore you reached by walking one steady step at a time. Picture for a moment the journey of a seed, small, silent, unassuming. In your hand, it looks like nothing more than a grain of dust, fragile and powerless. Yet within that seed lies the pattern of a mighty oak, a tree that could stand for centuries, sheltering generations, holding its ground through storms and seasons. The difference between that seed remaining what it is and becoming what it was meant to be is not in its desire, for even the seed is filled with purpose, but in its process. It must be placed in soil, watered with care, exposed to sunlight, and given time to grow. Without these conditions, the seed's potential remains locked away forever, a dream that never had a system. Every human being is like that seed. We each hold within us the possibility of greatness. A vision, a purpose, a calling that whispers softly to the heart. We see glimpses of what we might become, and we feel the pull of it. Yet too often, we try to leap from the soil to the sky in a single bound. We forget that all growth follows a process, and that process is the system. You cannot force a tree to grow faster by staring at it, just as you cannot reach your dream by merely wishing for it. Nature itself teaches us that success is born not of sudden leaps, but of steady nurturing. The farmer who tends his field knows this truth. He does not plant today and harvest tomorrow. He follows a pattern. Plow the soil, plant the seed, water it, wait, and work again. There is no mystery to it, only rhythm. Day after day, he moves with purpose, guided by the laws of growth. He does not despair when the shoots are slow to appear, nor boast when they begin to rise, for he understands that progress cannot be rushed or skipped. He trusts the process because the process never fails. So too must we build systems that mirror this wisdom, routines that feed our growth, habits that water our potential, and patience that gives time its due. Too many of us expect a harvest from ground we have not tilled. We set goals, speak of ambition, and dream of abundance, but we neglect the daily labor that makes those dreams real. We wish to learn, yet we do not study. We wish to earn, yet we do not plan. We wish to change, yet we do not practice. And then we look at the empty field of our lives and wonder why no fruit grows. The answer is simple. Where there is no system, there can be no growth. A field left to itself will yield only weeds. A mind left untrained will produce only confusion. A life without structure will drift into frustration. But imagine the power of one small, consistent act, repeated faithfully. The seed that drinks a drop of water each day grows roots unseen beneath the surface. Those roots spread, deepen, and anchor it against the wind. The same is true for the mind and the spirit. The system you build, no matter how simple, no matter how small, becomes the unseen root of your success. You may not see its results at once. The early days may feel fruitless, the effort unnoticed. But time, patience, and repetition weave miracles quietly. The flower does not bloom because it wishes to, it blooms because it followed the rhythm of its own design. And so it is with the human spirit. Greatness is not a product of sudden inspiration, but of cultivated discipline. Those who achieve much in life are not necessarily more gifted, but more grounded. They understand that progress is not measured by bursts of effort, but by sustained direction. They have learned the wisdom of the soil, that what is nurtured daily will one day rise. Every page read, every note written, every step taken builds upon the last, and before long, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. If you would transform your life, do not seek magic, seek method. Trust the process. Create the system that allows you to grow the way nature intended, through small, steady acts done faithfully. The seed becomes a tree not because it wished to, but because it followed the law of its own becoming. So too must you follow yours. Plant your vision deep, water it with effort, guard it with patience, and let your system carry you, one season at a time, from potential to power, from dreaming to doing, from the soil to the sky. A man stands at the threshold of a new goal with the spark of ambition glowing in his eyes. His heart beats with excitement, his imagination paints pictures of victory, and for a time, it feels as though nothing can stop him. The energy is electric, the same feeling that fills the air at the start of every great endeavor. But as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, the light begins to fade. The dream is still there, but the fire that once burned so brightly now flickers in the wind of routine. What happened? Where did the power go? The answer lies in a truth most people never understand. Motivation is a visitor, but systems are residents. The world has taught us to chase inspiration, to wait for the perfect moment, to rely on the swell of emotion to carry us forward. Yet emotion, though powerful, is not loyal. It comes and goes as it pleases. Some days, you feel unstoppable. Others, you can hardly take the first step. And if your progress depends on how you feel, then your success will always be unstable. Motivation is a spark, but no fire burns long without wood. Systems, on the other hand, are the logs that keep the flame alive. They are steady, dependable, indifferent to mood or weather. When excitement fades, the system remains, guiding your hand, reminding you what must be done. The athlete who wakes before dawn does not rise because he feels like it. He rises because he has built a rhythm into his life. The musician does not practice only when the muse visits. He practices because it is his way. The scholar does not study only when the mind feels sharp. He studies because the habit has been forged. What these people share is not endless passion, but endless structure. Their systems carry them through the valleys where emotion cannot. They have learned that success is not born from how you feel, but from what you do despite how you feel. It is a mistake to believe that those who achieve greatness are constantly inspired. No one feels driven every day. Even the most disciplined among us face moments of fatigue, doubt, and disinterest. But the difference between the dreamer and the doer is that the doer builds a structure strong enough to carry him, even when his will falters. A man without a system must summon his strength anew each morning. A man with a system simply follows his plan. One spends his days battling resistance. The other walks a path already laid. Think for a moment of the river. It flows endlessly, not because it decides to each day, but because its course has been carved into the earth. The river does not argue with itself, does not wonder whether to move or rest. It simply follows the channel that was built by time and persistence. The system is that channel. Once carved, it carries your effort naturally, effortlessly, steadily. You no longer fight your habits, they carry you. You no longer struggle to begin, you simply continue. The hardest part of progress is not the work itself, but the hesitation before it. A system removes hesitation by replacing decision with design. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they rely too heavily on fleeting bursts of motivation. They wait for the all right time, for the mood, for the feeling of readiness. But readiness is a myth. Progress begins when you act, and action is far easier when guided by a system, a routine that tells you when to begin, how to proceed, and what to do next. The painter who picks up his brush at the same hour each day does not paint because he feels inspired. He paints, and inspiration finds him at work. To build a system is to build a sanctuary for progress, a structure that protects your effort from the storms of doubt and the winds of distraction. It is the armor against procrastination, the shield against inconsistency. When the mind grows weary, the system takes over. When motivation fades, discipline steps in. Over time, the small, faithful actions of each day become the pillars of achievement. The truth is, simple feelings are temporary, but systems endure. If you rely on motivation, your journey will be unpredictable, full of stops and starts. But if you rely on systems, you will move steadily, surely, unfailingly toward your destination. Let your progress rest not on passion, but on practice, not on inspiration, but on intention. Build the structure that carries you when emotion cannot, and you will discover that the secret to consistency lies not in the heart, but in the habit. There is a certain quiet strength found in those who build their lives upon structure rather than impulse. They move through each day with calm assurance, not because they know every outcome, but because they trust the rhythm of their own design. Where others are tossed between bursts of ambition and waves of discouragement, they remain steady, guided by principles and practices that never waver. Their secret is not brilliance nor luck, nor unbroken enthusiasm. It is the presence of a system, a faithful pattern of behavior that leads them, step by step, toward mastery. Every great achievement in history has been born not of chaos, but of order. The sculptor who shapes marble into beauty does not strike at random. His chisel moves with precision, each stroke planned, each motion serving a purpose. The architect who builds a cathedral does not stack stone upon stone by chance. He follows a blueprint, every line drawn long before the first foundation is laid. The same law governs human success. Behind every masterpiece of life stands a method. Systems are the unseen architecture of accomplishment, and those who design them hold the blueprint to their own destiny. A system, at its heart, is a promise you make to yourself, a promise that says, "I will do what must be done not once but always." It transforms intention into obligation, desire into discipline. Many people dream of success, yet they treat each day as an isolated moment, disconnected from the one before. They hope that one great effort, one burst of determination, will carry them across the finish line. But greatness is not a single act, it is a habit woven through time. The runner does not reach the end by one mighty stride, he advances through countless smaller steps, each one deliberate, each one necessary. When you create a system, you give your effort a home. You take the scattered pieces of willpower and arrange them into something sustainable. A system is not a cage, it is a current. It frees you from the burden of constant decision, from the endless negotiation between comfort and commitment. Instead of asking each day, "Shall I act or shall I wait?" the system answers for you, "Now." In that simple word lies power, for action repeated becomes progress, and progress repeated becomes transformation. Think of the craftsman who begins his work before the sun rises. His hands move almost by memory, his tools always in place, his routine unbroken. To the casual observer, it may appear monotonous, but hidden within that rhythm is the miracle of mastery. Each repetition strengthens his skill, each day refines his art. He does not chase the result, he builds it. And when at last the masterpiece stands complete, those who witness it will call him talented, unaware that his true gift was the system he followed faithfully. Systems protect us from our lesser selves. There will be days when fatigue whispers, "Rest," when doubt murmurs, "Quit," when temptation calls, "Wait until tomorrow." But a system leaves no room for debate. It transforms discipline from an act of will into a natural course of action. Like a river flowing through a carved path, it moves forward whether the sky is clear or gray. You may not always feel strong, but your structure will carry you. You may not always feel inspired, but your practice will propel you. In the end, it is not the intensity of one day's effort that defines a life, but the constancy of daily purpose. Most people search for shortcuts, for ways to reach success without the slow march of consistency. Yet every shortcut winds up longer, every easy path steeper than it seems. Systems, though humble, are the true accelerators. They harness time itself, turning each moment into an alley. A single good habit practiced daily achieves more than 100 bursts of enthusiasm scattered across a year. The system does not dazzle, it delivers. It does not promise excitement, it ensures endurance. When you commit to a system, you shift your identity. You cease to be a dreamer hoping for results and become a builder creating them. You no longer ask, "Will I succeed?" but rather, "Have I followed my process today?" And in that shift lies peace. The knowledge that success is no longer a matter of chance, but of certainty. The system you build becomes the rhythm of your life, the quiet drumbeat of purpose beneath every action. And in time, the world will look upon your life and see not luck, not chance, but design. There comes a time when every dreamer must face the truth that visions, no matter how grand, will remain suspended in the air until anchored by consistent action. The world is full of people who once dreamed brightly, who saw clearly the future they desired, yet never reached it. Not for lack of talent, not for lack of will, but for lack of structure. The distance between wishing and achieving is not measured in miles, but in method. Those who reach their destination do so not by sudden leaps of inspiration, but by faithful steps laid down in rhythm, guided by a system that turns ambition into achievement. A system, when built with intention, becomes more than a plan, it becomes a companion on the journey. It whispers direction when the path grows uncertain. It steadies the hand when doubt creeps in. It reminds you that success is not an act of luck, but the inevitable result of design. To wake each morning knowing what must be done and why is to hold in your hands a compass that points always toward progress. It does not matter whether the sun shines or clouds gather. The direction is the same. Systems transform fleeting motivation into permanent momentum, and momentum, once gained, is one of the most powerful forces in human life. There is great wisdom in understanding that no single day defines destiny, but every day contributes to it. The smallest actions, performed faithfully, build unseen strength. The reader who opens a book for 10 minutes each day becomes a scholar over years. The worker who improves one skill at a time becomes a master of his craft. The saver who sets aside a modest sum with every paycheck builds wealth while others wait for fortune's favor. It is never the grand gesture that shapes a life, but the accumulation of quiet, deliberate choices guided by a system that keeps them on course. Most people imagine success as a sudden event, a moment when the stars align and opportunity knocks. In truth, success is not a single door that opens, but a corridor walked step by step. Each step, however small, matters. Each one brings you closer to the horizon. A system ensures that those steps are taken, even when excitement fades. It frees you from the endless tug of indecision, for your path is already marked. Each morning, you need not wonder what to do. The structure answers for you. And in obeying that structure, you move forward not through bursts of willpower, but through the quiet authority of habit. Consider the builder who constructs a great tower. He does not lift the top stone first. He lays a foundation brick by brick, following a plan drawn with care. To the passerby, his progress may seem slow, almost invisible. Yet one day the tower stands tall against the sky, unshakable. So it is with life. A system is your blueprint, your foundation, your sequence of deliberate actions. To ignore it is to build on sand. To follow it is to create something that endures. The beauty of a system is that it asks not for perfection, but for persistence. You need not be extraordinary every day. You need only to remain faithful to the process. There will be times when the journey feels long, when progress seems hidden beneath the surface. In those moments, it is tempting to question the value of structure, to chase after novelty or abandon the routine. But just as a seed must remain buried before it breaks the soil, your efforts, though unseen, are taking root. The strength of a system lies in its patience. It allows time to do its quiet work. You may not see the results at once, but each day you follow the pattern. You are weaving a tapestry of success, thread by thread, line by line. The truth is, freedom and discipline are not enemies, but partners. Those who build systems gain freedom from confusion, from inconsistency, from the tyranny of mood. They move with purpose, their days aligned with their values. And as their habits compound, they find that success is not something they chase. It is something they attract through the steady expression of order. The individual who builds and honors a system no longer fears the distance to their dream, for the path beneath their feet is clear. With each day's faithful step, the horizon draws nearer until at last they arrive, not by chance, not by miracle, but by method. So in the end, what is the lesson we carry from all of this? It is that dreams alone do not shape destiny, action does. Goals, as bright and inspiring as they may be, are merely the direction in which we turn our eyes. Systems are the path beneath our feet. They are the steady heartbeat of progress, the quiet rhythm that transforms intention into achievement. Every great life ever lived has been built not upon fleeting moments of motivation, but upon the firm foundation of structure. Habits formed with purpose, actions guided by design, and persistence rooted in faith. You do not need to wait for the perfect day, the perfect plan, or the perfect feeling. Begin where you stand. Build a system worthy of the dream you hold. Let each day become a brick in the road toward your vision. Do the small things with consistency, for it is in the small that the great is born. Remember always, success is not a mystery, nor a matter of luck. It is a pattern, a process, a system faithfully followed. The world belongs to those who understand that greatness is not a single act but a habit. That fulfillment is not found in wishing but in working. And that the highest goals are reached not in leaps but in steps. Deliberate, disciplined, daily steps. So set your eyes on the horizon, but fix your hands to the work before you. Let your system become your strength, your routine your guide, and your discipline your companion. Then one day, when you look back upon the path you've walked, you will not see a trail of fleeting dreams, but a legacy of purpose fulfilled, built one faithful action at a time.